What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? Welcome to another episode of Farmer Insight Podcast with your host Maddox, man. And lately I just been feeling like a Western boy in Brooklyn, a country boy in Brooklyn. However you want to label it. Hold on one second. I need some water. Hey, what's going on, man? Let's get this thing started. For the last few years, even to date, all you keep hearing from the left, one of their major arguments from the left, I should say, is that they keep saying January 6th, January 6th, insurrection, January 6th, the right, MAGA, is a hate organization, it's a hate group, which is a big lie. The average left became an extreme. These average left people, Democrats, I would say, to me, they're kind of like the new communists. They are the new hippies. A lot of the hippies had communist ways. They were super liberal. Now these same super liberal hippies are literally in your colleges now teaching the kids. And they're in big organizations that's run by the left, indoctrinating your children to believe in their old communist ways. No one brings up the Capitol bombing that was done by radical leftists. For the people out there who didn't know that this happened in the Capitol in the 80s, I wonder why you didn't know. Because they kind of suppress it so you won't know. They play these mind games, and to be honest, even I didn't know about it. Well, let's take a look together, y'all, shall we?
On November 7th, 1983, a thunderous explosion tore through the second story of the U.S. Capitol building after a bomb went off that was hidden under a bench right outside the chamber. Amazingly, nobody was injured, but the blast did do lots of damage. It was estimated around $1 million.
This is a KNBC News update. Here is John Beer.
Good evening. A bomb exploded tonight near the second floor office of U.S. Senate Minority Leader Robert Byrd. Washington, D.C. police say there were no injuries and no reports of damage. Police dogs are at the scene searching for possible clues.
The FBI searches for the terrorists who planted a bomb on Capitol Hill.
Look at that. They plant a bomb on Capitol Hill. But no one seems to bring this up. But hold on, there's more.
The U.S. Senate was in session tonight as the FBI continued its search for the bombers who detonated a powerful explosion just outside the Senate chambers in the Capitol last night.
The two people convicted of the terrorist attack were both women, Linda Evans and Susan Rosenberg, a pair of radical left commies who bombed the U.S. Capitol in an attempt to assassinate Republican senators.
So, when Democrats always talking about their high ground and their moral high ground, and we're not the side of hate, we don't believe in violence, then what do you call this? Democrats have always been on the side of violence and hate. You got both sides are not innocent, but when I was younger, I really believed that the Democrat Party was the side of reason, the side of love and unity, and it's the Republican side. And then when I got older, I realized I was lied to.
These two women, both far-left revolutionaries, were part of two separate terrorist groups. One was called M19, the May 19th Communist Organization, and the other was called The Family, and they were an offshoot of the Black Liberation Army, whose leader was, get this, Mutulu Doc Shakur, the stepfather of hip-hop legend Tupac Shakur. Together, they were responsible for a series of violent domestic terror attacks in the late 70s and early 80s that includes a bombing campaign that, in addition to the U.S. Capitol, they also targeted government buildings in Washington and New York. They bombed an FBI office, the Washington Navy Yard, and the headquarters of New York's largest police union.
Does that sound familiar? The new day and age, they're going around destroying, setting fires on Tesla cars because they didn't get their way. Yes, we could say people at January 6th, a lot of them was fools and idiots. Absolutely, we could say that. But a lot of them wasn't bad people. But then you did have a bunch of bad people in the group. So I could be honest with that. But if you're going to bring up the Capitol building with Jan 6, why don't you bring up the Capitol building in 1983?
So these are two crazy bitches with a long history of violent extremism. And when they weren't busy bombing buildings or targeting our police, our military, and our government, they were out there robbing banks in armored trucks. In fact, there was one incident in October 1981 where they killed a guard and two policemen during a Brinks armored truck robbery. These men had families and a future ahead of them, but they were gunned down by radical leftists. Tupac's stepdad, he was the mastermind of the operation. He was also one of the triggermen. And Susan Rosenberg was one of the getaway drivers. Keep in mind that these bank and armored truck robberies were not about getting rich and running away to retire somewhere on the beach. No, in their minds, this was total war. This was war against America. So whatever happened to Linda Evans and Susan Rosenberg? Where are they now? Well, they were finally arrested in 1984. Susan Rosenberg was planning to bomb the U.S. Naval Academy.
Wow.
Local police and the FBI found hundreds of pounds of explosives and a huge cache of weapons. They were prepared for an all-out war.
Tons of explosives, weapons to destroy property and people because they didn't like what the Republicans was doing.
Thank God they got busted. Linda Evans was sentenced to 40 years in prison, and Susan Rosenberg was convicted and sentenced to 58 years behind bars. But guess what? They were both pardoned by Bill Clinton. On January 20th, 2001, Bill Clinton's last day in office, he set them free. And you might be wondering, where would a convicted terrorist look for work once they got out of prison? I imagine it would be pretty tough to find a job. You couldn't work at a local gas station or McDonald's with a rap sheet like that. But you can always work for our country's liberal academia. Susan Rosenberg, she ended up at the John Jay College of Criminal Justice in New York, which is a liberal arts college, of course. And to this day, both of these women are celebrated by the left. They are social justice heroes. And now Susan Rosenberg just landed a new job, a place called Thousand Currents. They are a nonprofit organization. Susan Rosenberg is on the board of directors, and she does fundraising and administrative work for Black Lives Matter.
So people will shame you for supporting Trump and say, you shouldn't support Trump because the Triple K people support Trump, so you shouldn't support Trump at all. No, you shouldn't. You shouldn't support Trump at all. Meanwhile, these people support terrorists. And letting terrorists get employment to brainwash your children and future politicians into a terrorist mindset. No wonder you see these people burn up Tesla cars. No wonder you see these people fight with hatred in their heart because they agree. The left keep saying that they're on the side of peace and unity, but you can't even have a simple conversation with them without insults. They go crazy and berserk. This is not saying everyone on the left, but overwhelmingly the majority of them are this way because you got extremes on both sides who you just can't talk to. But you know what's funny though? I've been hearing a lot of people complain about Trump and Elon Musk are laying off federal workers. Oh my goodness, it's a thing right now. And I'm here to say, to be perfectly honest, I don't care. And the reason why I say I don't care, did the federal workers care for a bunch of people who were in construction got laid off because of funding? Did they care about a lot of NYPD officers losing their jobs? Did they care that we were on the street struggling to make ends meet for jobs, but we should care for them? Mind you, a lot of people lost their jobs federal-wise under Obama too. People tend to forget this. This is nothing new. Under a few administrations, people had lost their job federal-wise in the thousands. But for some weird reason, they focus on Trump, Elon Musk, because Trump, Elon Musk are exposing the fraud going on. So now they try to say, look, y'all, look. But what about y'all, the left, who was cutting people? What about that? Everybody just forgot about it?
Hey, yo, Trump laid off 24,000 federal workers. Clinton laid off 400,000. Obama laid off 640,000. But they're worrying that Elon Musk is taking jobs.
You can read it for yourself right here on the screen. This video is going to show y'all how black Democrats are fighting to get off the Democrat plantation while at the same time fighting victimhood. They're fighting a mysterious enemy who ain't there.
It's okay. Ain't nobody right there. Ain't nobody right there. Ain't nobody right there. Calm down, Ain't nobody right there. Ain't nobody right there, bro. Ain't nobody right there.
He was fighting his ass off. He was 2 cheeks out, fighting his ass off. So my point is, you got a bunch of Democrats, black Democrats, that's always fighting in victimhood mode, fighting their ass off with a mysterious boogeyman. So with that being said, man, I just want to wrap that up with the hypocrisy from the left. All right? Until next time, y'all. Later.